Hello, I'm Scott Brady with Expedition Portal and Overland Journal, and I'm here with the 2012 Jeep Wrangler. The Wrangler JK has been a significant vehicle since its introduction. It's been awarded many times over by numerous publications and video segments. But I want to talk today about the things that make the JK particularly unique, the thing that makes it exceptional in its area of expertise. Now, obviously, the addition of the 3.6 liter V6 was a nice change for this truck. In particular, the 3.8, although it proved to be very reliable, lacked a lot of the performance that the competitors in the same segment had. But what the Wrangler has always had is the finest low to moderate speed technical trail capability of anyone in the segment. That's why I want to spend some time talking about that particular attribute today. Now, obviously, everyone knows this is one of the few remaining vehicles with a solid front and rear axle as a wagon. It's a four-door long wheelbase variant. Up to this point, the Wranglers have always been very short vehicles, two doors. Now we've got a four-door variant, a lot more storage capacity, a lot more ability to carry personnel and other equipment, which is a really important thing for those of us who like to travel remotely in the outback. Now, the key attributes that we're talking about are tire performance, suspension articulation, and then crossed axle diff locks. Now, the Wrangler is the only vehicle that has best in breed articulation, it has best in breed tire fitment, and it also has best in breed total traction control system. And when I say total traction control system, I'm not just talking about just a rear locker or just front and rear lockers. This vehicle has front and rear locking differentials. It also has traction control, and it also has a rear limited slip. So it has a helical driven, gear driven limited slip in the rear that's available at all times. So depending on the scenario, you've got some variability in traction. So in low speeds, the driver has these ultimate available choices. Now, what's also common in competitors in this same segment is for them to have maybe good articulation in the rear. And the reason for that is that these vehicles have to attain a certain level of on-road stability or on-road performance. Now, in the case of the Wrangler, they fit a really heavy-duty front anti-sway bar, but then they give the driver the option to disconnect it. They can uncouple the anti-sway bar by just pushing a button. And when that happens, you get maximum articulation like we can see here. The rear anti-sway bar is also a very small diameter. So it really has very limited control over the maximum range of motion of the rear axle, but it does provide a little bit of side slope stability. Now, what I found with this particular truck, if you look at this obstacle that we're going through, I don't have any of the differential locks engaged. The reason why this vehicle is able to come through so effortlessly is because the tires are in contact with the terrain. So articulation is very important, not only for stability. If we look, the vehicle is completely level, the hood is level with the horizon, but the axles underneath are doing all the work. This adds a great deal of driver confidence and stability to the vehicle in technical terrain. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is tires. Now, obviously, tires are very easy for someone to change out, but to me, this makes an important statement. Jeep is saying that this is the intention of the vehicle. This vehicle is designed to do technical terrain travel. I've taken Jeep Rubicons over the Rubicon Trail 14 times. We've taken them on extended expeditions, and we found them always to exceed our expectation for performance. And one of those things has to do with the fact that these tires are fitted. Now, these tires are unique to the Jeep Wrangler Rubicon. They were actually designed by BF Goodrich to provide the level of traction that was required by Jeep, but also give a little bit better on-road refinement than the traditional KM. If you notice, these center lugs here are a lot closer together than they would be on the traditional KM specified tire. The last thing that we're going to talk about are the crossed axle diff locks. These are the most important of the features that I'm talking about because they give the greatest improvement in total traction. Now, in the 90s, the 80 Series Land Cruiser was fitted with front and rear differential locks, which was really groundbreaking, and it was a very important statement in the marketplace. Now, this Jeep Wrangler has it front and rear. It also has a rear mechanical limited slip differential, and it also has traction control. So depending on the conditions, the driver can either select or allow the systems to work to their advantage for total traction. Now, in addition to having differential locks, you also have to have the hardware to support it. And this particular vehicle is fitted with Dana 44 axles front and rear. So we not only have differential locks, but we have very strong differentials to take the size of tire it is and the potential torque input from the 4-to-1 transfer case. Now, we've talked about these really important things: tires, axle articulation, cross-axle diff locks, but the Jeep has a lot more than that that really sets it apart from its peers. For example, the tires stick out further to the sides than the bodywork, which means that when you're on a side slope in the mud, you're not just wrecking all of that expensive bodywork to repair. You've also got lots of good approach and departure angle. So from the front and rear, when you're coming up against a ledge or dropping off of a ledge, we've got really good angles. Now, obviously the 4-door variant suffers a little bit on the breakover angle. This is a 116-inch wheelbase, and even though it's got a pretty good size tire on it and quite a bit of ground clearance, because of that long wheelbase, it does tend to get hung up a little bit. But then again, that's where the tires, axle articulation, and diff locks can really help out. So when we look at it compared to the other vehicles in this segment, it's just really important to understand just how effective this truck is in slow speed to moderate speed terrain. Now, obviously there's some downsides to that. All of this hardware creates some other compromises, right? So at higher speeds, you've got lack of directness in the steering. You've got a lot of noise and vibration and harshness that comes from the tires compared to an all-terrain or a very street-biased tread. You've also got a little bit more body roll because that rear anti-sway bar is much smaller diameter than the competitors may have. There's all of those things that you compromise in order to get this kind of performance. But if you're looking for the most capable off the showroom floor vehicle that's currently available in North America, there's no question that the Rubicon is it.